All systems go. Cleared for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Hope y'all have a good weekend. Have a good week so far. Have a good weekend on tap. March Madness, MMA, NBA, NHL, PGA Showdown, NASCAR. Too much money to be made this week, Big Marley. 100K up top like usual in the MMA streets. Love to see that. G. Kuiper in here. Lone Wolf, Ben, MPET, Robert Pena. What's going on, everybody? Appreciate everyone hanging out. Watching live, watching on playback, of course. Big Marley, I'll throw it to you because, man, what a card we have this Friday. Name value, there's some good fights littered top to bottom. 13 fights at the Apex, 7 p.m. Eastern. But, man, when we're talking DFS, it's one of the craziest cards I can remember. Like, minus 210, the biggest favorite, then minus 205, then minus 200. Otherwise, all other favorites in the minus 100 range. Finishes. I mean, yeah, more finish. I think like 7 of the 13 or something like that. Maybe 8 are expected to finish. But even the ones that are expected to finish is kind of slightly favored. I think we could see a lot of decisions, a lot of close fights, ownership pretty spread out. It's a tough card, no doubt about that. And I struggle finding some fades on this one. How do you see this one? How do you like it on a scale of like 1 to 10? Are you increasing volume, taking a little back? I mean, it's a crazy one, but how are you doing today?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this card mainly because of DFS. I think it's a solid slate where you can really do anything you want on this card. I have a couple fights I plan on fading, maybe another fighter or two along the way. But yeah, it's a tough card. I've been trying to build lineups, like not hand building, but I've even been trying to mess with the solver. And I have not been loving my exposures that I've been getting, but it's tough. I feel like I can go from ranges from like 20 to 40 on multiple people on this card, and I'd be okay with it. You could leave like $3,000 salary on the table. You'd probably be okay, be optimal, maybe have a good chance at winning too. So lots of ways to go. Hopefully we make it a good one. Looking forward to talking to you about it.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to go through these. You might change my opinions on some. I mean, yeah, broad slate overview for me before we go fight by fight. You could definitely leave money on the table. Like if there's ever a slate you could leave thousands on the table, it's this one. Because DraftKings pricing, they don't price anybody the same. They go 8,200, 8,000 most fights, sometimes 81. And then they just go the smallest favorite by Monday or whenever they do. Closest line fight, 82, 8K. Next one, 83.79, etc. So the biggest favorite on the card is minus 200. Someone's got to be 9,400 on this card. So we do have a 9,400, 93, 92, etc. But they have awful money line equity compared to their pricing. When you look at some of these like 8,400 fighters, almost have the same money line as some of these 9K guys. So definitely you can leave money on the table on DraftKings, no doubt about that. Ownership's going to be spread out. It's not a week you have to worry as much about getting unique. Because I think there's just so many good combinations. Ownership's already up on the site. So if you are a premium member at chippination.com, projections, ownership already up. Everything else will be up shortly after the show to check it out. But yeah, you can leave money. It's very tough. It's hard to narrow the pool for me. Yeah, that's the broad slate. We'll go fight by fight like always. Again, Hoop15 is that promo code. All the MMA stuff, projections, ownership up. Everything will be up. After PGA Showdown still, NBA, Ham and Nades will be on the show. Our Rio's going tomorrow, live final. Make sure to wish him good luck there. NHL going on, NASCAR going on, so much going on. Again, chippination.com, Hoop15 is the promo, 15% off. And shout out to you. I say it all the time, Marley. Ownership been absolutely money, though. It's pretty tough this week to do ownership, though. There's no doubt about that. I think it'll be relatively spread out. Appreciate that, Romy. We're doing well. Hit that like. Of course, we do appreciate it. Anything from you on Marley fight? Like broad slate overview. You kind of gave yours, or you just want to go fight by fight, bottom to top?
Nah, I'm ready to get right into it.
Do it. Make Parkin. Two big boy fights on the card. One to start it off, and then co-main event. Mick Parkin, Muhammad Usman, 8,400 Parkin, 7,800 Usman. Parkin minus 145, Usman plus 125 on the way back. This fight is plus 120 to finish. Parkin plus 275 inside the distance. Usman plus 285. All right, Big Marley. I'm starting it off with a fade, and it's a scary fade. First fight of the night. Big boys out there, small cage, a lot of crazy stuff can happen. But you got to have, I wanted 4 fades on this card in 20 and below. I needed some underweight tags. All of you, I think you can make a case for every fighter on this card to be optimal. Like plus 180 is the biggest dog on the card, so anyone's live to win. I think most fighters have passed to victory. At least you can talk yourself into it when you look at their ownership. I'm not getting to this one, man. Muhammad Usman, really boring. He wants to wrestle and just lay on you. Very low volume. I mean, man, Parkin didn't look great last time out either. I think his striking's mid. I don't think he gets takedowns. I think it's Usman, if anything. I think this fight, a lot of it plays out against the fence, back and forth, jockeying for position. You do get cage control, clinch control for that on DraftKings. But, yeah, I mean, I don't even know you're parlaying who's going to win this fight. I'm picking Parkin because I just think Usman's no good and the volume's so low. But 8,400, I prefer the Talbot Simon fight, which I don't even love that much. I prefer the Ogden Hollowbo fight, especially the Hollowbo side. The Billy Q fight's in that range, which I prefer right there. Like, I just, no thanks to this fight relative to what's in its range. Winner, give me 80 points in this one. Let's move on. Tell me if you have anything different.
Yeah, I guess I like it more than you do. Mainly just because they're big boys, that the knockout is always in play for heavyweight. And then I also think that either one of them could mix in multiple takedowns and have good success in top control. I don't really expect anything from either guy, I guess, on the bottom. But I would say that Usman's just the stronger wrestler, but Parkin may be the more technical and better grappler, more technical wrestler, better grappler of the two. And then the striking, it's really Usman, just power again. Like, he's got an overhand right that you got to watch out for, but he's not going to have a ton of volume. And he's never thrown a leg kick in his life. So it's really all you got to watch is the left and the right. That's it. And then he might try and do a double leg with just pure power. But if he doesn't get the takedowns and he doesn't get a knockout, I just think Parkin's going to be the more technical fighter, mix in all the striking tools and just kind of pick him apart on the feet. And I also think he could land takedowns of his own and maybe score well that way. He had, 3 takedowns in his last fight, scored 83 DraftKings points. That's not great, but he only landed 39 significant strikes on the feet. And I think that Usman's a lot more hittable. He's a lot slower. I think he could land more strikes on the feet and maybe still have 3 takedowns and have that same ground success on this one. So instead of playing both sides, I'm going to take a stand on this one. I will play some Parkin, but I'll probably be underweight or fading Usman. It could burn me. It could definitely burn me with like a first round knockout on the Usman side, but I just don't think he's very good. Same with Parkin, but I just think Parkin's better and more well-rounded.
Yeah, thankfully for me, I'll be at the live finals. Some drinks will be going down. It's a late start, so I can very well put that phone down. I'll watch that first fight. Someone gets a knockout early, that phone's getting tossed. And
yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, then I'll just go on NBA and sweat out with Rio. But yeah, it's scary for sure. Big boys, small cage, both inside the distance props, under plus 300. I don't think you're crazy to play this fight at all. I wrote in the slate plan too. If I'm playing 150, I think I'm leaving every single fighter in my pool. And I don't love to do that, all 26. But again, I think every single fighter could have a path. And then you diversify more. You expect to get more back. You play MMA, it's first or last. You just need one lineup to take first, especially with the chops. This week, I wouldn't worry about chops as much. Like, there's plenty of 50K lineups out there that'll have no dupes and that you can actually make pretty solid, I think, this weekend. So, yeah, man, it's a tough one. I'm excited to see what kind of fades you got on this one, on this card, because I struggled. But I'm off of this one to start. Big boys, I will be holding my breath, no doubt about that. What's going on, Colin T? Hope you're doing well. Gipper's going to pick up a 66 Chevy. Definitely not a car man over here, but I know 66 is pretty old, so hope that thing can get you back home. Devin, what's going on, man? Woke up this morning, swapped us. Yeah, it's not even cash now. DFS is so fun. DFS can be a brutal game for sure. We'll get it back this weekend. Cam is in here. Shark is in here as well. Hope you guys doing well. Let's keep it rolling, though, Big Marley. Next fight on the card. We have, this should be a fun one. Andre Lima, Igor Da Silva, minus 180 is Lima, plus 155 is Da Silva. Odds in this one, minus 165 to finish. Lima plus 130. Da Silva plus 275 inside the distance. I'm excited for this one. Two young kids, 25 years old for Lima, 20 years old for Severino. I think this is going to be a high-paced fight. You look at inside the distance props on both guys. It screams good fights. I think the pace is pretty high. I'm not sure. Like minus 165, I'm not as convinced we see a finish in this fight. But especially if Igor wins, I'm not sure we need it. I think some wrestling could be mixed in on this fight. Yeah, two young kids, two guys I'm excited about with the future, 25, 20 years old. I'm excited for this one. How do you see it going down? What's your preferred side? And do you see enough takedowns being implemented or volume, like a decision these guys, mainly Lima, could end up on the optimal?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this fight. I think they're both solid prospects. Da Silva or Severino, whatever you want to call him. This kid's only 20 years old.
I should say that quick. Depending where you look, Da Silva or Severino, they're the same people. Igor Da Silva, Severino. You look at FanDuel, DraftKings, I think it's different. So, yeah, keep going.
So, yes, Severino's only 20 years old, and I'm already impressed with this kid. He's aggressive on the feet. He's got a real mean uppercut that he can connect with. And just the pressure alone on the feet is going to keep him around for a while, I think. But he had 5 takedowns as well in like the first 2 rounds or something of his Contender Series fight. I did the math on it, what he would have scored in that one if it was a real fight, and it would have been 151.31 DraftKings points from this kid.
We'll take that.
And yeah, I would take that for sure, especially at his price. Like if you don't have Severino,
I don't care what price, 10.5K, I'm taking it.
But and I mean, I think he's in play for that type of style against a lot of people. But Lima is a good kickboxer. He's going to be a lot harder to hit on the feet. He's going to have power of his own that Severino's going to have to watch for. So I think if this fight takes place at range, it's going to be Lima's fight, but he's going to need a knockout to pay off a 9K salary in a fight that's at range. I also think Lima could get a couple takedowns of his own, but he does have power with his punches and his kicks, and Severino's aggressive. So I think the knockout's in play on this one, but my preferred play is going to be Severino. I love the pressure. I think if he can get this more of a dirty striking fight, get on the inside, he could even win that type of fight. But it's the takedowns that sway it for me. If he can just go in there and wrestle this guy or really clinch up against the cage, do some dirty work there, I think this is closer to a pick'em fight. So Severino is my pick. If Severino wins, I feel confident he's going to score more than 10x. Whereas if Lima wins, man, even 10x is tough. So I'll be underweight on Lima, but I'll still get some exposure there. And then Severino's a guy that I want to be overweight on. But I like a handful of underdogs on this card.
Yeah, I definitely am not worried about like stacking. I think is one of the worst things you can do on this card. I am not worried about what dogs come through. I'll be mixing and matching plenty of them. There's so many closely lined fights. You're going to see plenty of plus money people come through. I will say, I think I like Lima a little more than you. I do like Severino. He is my preferred play with the savings 1,800. Like, and might sound crazy to you. You can build a lineup, plug in Lima, take Lima out, and go Severino. He's not that big of a dog. He just has that much upside. You can do that pretty much every single. What do we got? The biggest one, 9,400 Carl Williams, or 9,300 Carl Williams, and then we got Tafa at 6,900. You can leave 2,400. Tafa is just first round. He has 1 minute bonus knockout power actually. So first round knockout, Carl Williams, take him out. Go Tafa. You're leaving 2,400. That means it shows that you can definitely leave thousands on the table on this card. But yeah, just back to it. I have a little more interest in Andre Lima than you, just because his ownership has to be capped to an extent. Because the main people will play above 9K. Carl Williams for the wrestling upside and Rose for the main 5-round main event favorites. I think Lima probably is like 20 to 25% owned. It's relatively low when you know Rose and Carl Williams are going to be 40+% owned. High-paced fights, favored to finish. I do like Lima, I think, a little more than you. But I like Severino as well. So great fight to target. One of my favorites on the card to watch and to play in DFS. Let's keep it going. Next fight on the card. We have pretty low on fight on this card. One I'm definitely interested in your take. Zelaznikova taking on Montserrat Rendone. Zelaznikova minus 210. Rendone plus 180. This fight's plus 180 to finish. Most of the finishing equity on the Zelaznikova side at plus 210. Rendone plus 800. We have Zelaznikova making her UFC debut. Rendone making her second walk. Clear as day, baby. Clash of styles. Zelaznikova wants to keep it on the feet. Looks to have pretty solid hands. Rendone does not look to have solid hands, but she wants to wrestle. Had success in her debut against Vidal. Put up 90 DK points. I take 90 DK points at a very low-owned Rendone as the biggest dog on the card right now. And again, like, I'm not even fading this fight. This is not my other fade because Clash of Styles are very intriguing to me. Zelazkova's got some hands. Like, I think a knockout is in play. I don't bank on knockouts for women's lighter divisions more times than not. But she has pop. I don't know if Rendone can take it all 15 minutes if Zelaznikova can't stuff takedowns. And who knows? On the other side, Rendone will be low-owned. The path to victory is takedowns, control time, etc. It's women's MMA, man. You could get a 90, 100 out of nowhere from Rendone. People will be tilting. She'll be low-owned. She has upside, though. There's a path. So, yeah, I like this fight. What about you? I'm on Zelazkova's side, though. I think her hands are too much.
Yeah, I actually don't like this fight. It's going to be a fade for me.
All right.
But I think you can make a case for both sides. The Zelaznikova, whatever you want to call her, she is the better striker, the much quicker striker, the more dangerous striker in this one, and she will be low-owned. She's plus 210 to win inside the distance, which is pretty solid. That's a 32.5 or close to 32.5% chance of finishing the fight. And if she's probably going to be less than half of that in ownership. So I feel like you can make a case for her finishing this fight because she does have a decent striking edge. And then you made the case for Rendone. She needs to get the fight to the ground. She scored 90 in her first fight, getting the fight to the ground. But my issue is that all three of her takedowns in that fight came off of catching leg kicks. She caught 3 of Vidal's 47 leg kicks, and she got takedowns on 3 of them. She had no real wrestling attempts on this one, and I don't think this Zelaznikova needs to throw that many leg kicks. She's got a big advantage just with her hands alone. So if she can just not throw kicks, keep this fight on the feet, I think she wins a striking-based decision and scores less than 10x. So that's what I'm hoping for, and I'm just going to fade this fight, hoping that that's the case because I feel like they'll get enough ownership where I'd rather get leverage to other people rather than taking my chances on this fight. And I just feel like more times than not, Zelaznikova wins a decision or wins without scoring 90-plus points in this one. And I don't like Rendone as much as the field's going to like her.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll say what? We have Rendone at 14%. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, so ownership's going to be spread out on this card for sure. And there's like I said, if I'm playing 150, I will not X out any fighter before doing my builds, which shows like it's tough. Fades are very tough for me, in my opinion. I like the fade in the first fight. Marley likes this fade, and I will just get right into this next one. Steven Wynn, Jarno Erens. This is the other fade for me. Minus 185 is Wynn. Plus 160 is Erens. This fight's plus 110 to finish. Wynn plus 240. Erens plus 300. So and then it's also the most. Steven Wynn's the highest priced fighter on the card. Erens is the lowest, 9,400, 6,800. This will be the lowest total ownership fight on the card. I don't even think it's going to be close. So plus 110 to finish. That's pretty much a coin flip. Plus 240 inside the distance isn't bad. Plus 300 inside the distance at 6,800 definitely isn't bad, especially when you're saying he's only plus 160. He's going to be low owned. This is kind of what I'm saying. If I'm playing a bunch of teams, I'm fine having Erens in there. I'm fine having Wynn in there. They both have a path. Now, when I play in 20 teams and want to make cuts and limit my player pool, Jarno Erens has looked bad in the UFC so far. Steven Wynn, he looks like he has solid volume. Like he can put up some numbers, but man, like even a third round knockout, he's 9,400. Comparing him to everyone in that range, even 100 might be enough. And I think 100's not going to say that's a ceiling, but that's definitely a very good outcome for Win, who's this fight's favored to go over 2.5 rounds. Not the biggest knockout power, does have solid volume. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm fading this fight in 20 and below. It's low owned. If you want to play it for that reason, I don't think it's crazy, but yeah, not for me. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to fade this fight as well. I think Nguyen wins the fight. He can't put up good volume. He'll be low owned, maybe get a TKO along the way. And that would be the case for playing him. But I feel like Erens is the more dangerous fighter of the two. I just don't think he has any real chance to be the minute winner in this one. So he's relying on that quick choke or quick knockout. And I just don't think it's very likely. If I had to play one, I guess I'd rather take the underdog. But I like too many other underdogs on this card. So I'm just going to X both of these guys out. Hope that Nguyen scores 80 points in a win.
Sorry, I was looking at other stuff. Yeah, win and win. You were making me laugh. Yeah, I hope he scores 70 points in a win as well. Not much really more to add in that fight. Not a hot take by either of us. Again, the lowest combined ownership on the card, I think, will be that fight. But ownership matters for sure on this card, but it doesn't matter as much as some others with just a very unique DFS card we have. No favorites above -215. 13 fights. Don't see that every day. What's going on, Jacob Stubbs? Awesome to see you in the Discord as well this morning. Marquis going on. Good Hey, happy birthday, Marquis. Hope you have a great day. Hope you have a good weekend. And Jacob, I saw you signed up. I do hope you use that promo code HOOP15. Anyone out there looking to join chippination.com, you want to just give it a try for a week, check out what we have. We don't have Discord for weekly packages, just content on the site, but monthly, 6-month, annual packages do include the Discord. Use that promo code HOOP15 to get in for 15% off. MMA projections and ownership are up on the site right now. So if you are a member, head over, open that tab. You can follow along when we're going through. Everything else will be up shortly after this show. Let's keep it rolling. Next fight on the card. Yeah, I'm excited for this one. DFS-wise, I'm kind of torn, though. Miles Johns, Cody Gibson, 8,200 Johns, 8,000 is Cody Gibson. Looking at the odds, Johns -137, Cody Gibson +117. This fight's +120 to finish. Miles Johns +225 inside the distance. Cody Gibson +365. I'm going to say the ownership in this one. I was going back and forth. So the cheaper fighter and the dog, Cody Gibson, we have at 19%. The favorite, Miles Johns, at 82%. We have at 15%. And I do think that's right. I think the dog, Cody Gibson, does get more ownership because people are just, last fight against Brad Katona, Cody Gibson put on a very, very fun performance. He showed that he has a ton of volume. He's got a very good chin. He does something, whereas Miles Johns has been lower volume. Both guys do have a wrestling background. I'm curious to see if you see either guy going for offensive takedowns. Johns is the more heavy-handed guy. I like the leg kicks. He slows down as the fight goes on. At least he has in the past. Cody Gibson only gets better. It's a good fight for sure. Real life fight for sure. I'm on Miles Johns' side, and I do love seeing a lot of people eye Gibson and thinking he'll be a little higher owned. And I'm not even – I think Johns can knock him out. I think the leg kicks can hurt him early, stifle some of the movement. Johns does have power. Gibson has a good chin, but, man, he got rocked plenty by Katona. It only takes one – we saw Dober – you have a chin until you don't, etc. Not saying he doesn't have a chin, but he got cold cocked by Frivola when people thought he was invincible. John's decision or finish, but I'm on the John side in this one, and I do think he will be lower on the Gibson. How do you see it going?
Yeah, I'm on the other side of this one. I like the underdog in Gibson. Just with the pace alone in that last fight, he landed like 164 strikes in 3 rounds. I don't think Johns can do that. I don't think that's in his game. And he's taking this fight on short notice. So I just think that the longer this goes, the more he's going to start slowing down and Gibson can pick up the pace. And if Gibson won that fight, he would have scored 97 points. That's solid. Johns has never scored 97 points. The most Johns has ever scored is 87, but he averages Johns?
Yeah, this week.
This week. Well, I'm screwed because I'm trying to talk myself into fading Johns, to be honest with you. 8,200 though. Even a second round knockout he can get there with though. But I mean, he averages 70 points in his wins. He's the better wrestler of the two, but he doesn't wrestle. He just landed a career best 2 takedowns in his last fight. So I don't trust his wrestling pace. He's got knockout power, but he just doesn't throw enough punches for me to rely on him knocking Gibson out. So I like the underdog to just kind of drown him with the pace, maybe finish him late. Gibson could mix in takedowns too. He took down Sterling like 3 times way back in the day. But still, Sterling, that's a freaking impressive.
Yeah.
I don't know that Johns is taking down Sterling. So I think there's just more ways for Gibson to score well. I trust his pace a lot more. And Johns is a fighter who I really try to avoid, like a long-term fade on DraftKings for me, just based on pace alone. I hate these guys who waste too much cage time and you don't use your best assets, which for him would really be his wrestling, in my opinion. So I'm going to fade the short notice guy. Give me overweight on Gibson. Maybe fully fading Johns, but underweight for sure.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I think it'll be a good fight. Why I like Johns? He's going to be low owned. I think Gibson, because fading Johns historically has been definitely good in DraftKings, but I think Gibson will make it kind of like we'll get to the Billy Q Zalal fight. Zalal's notorious been pretty boring in DFS too, but the opponent is just, if they're in your face, bringing the pace, the pressure, you got to land something all fight. Now, will it be enough to be optimal? Probably not if it goes all 3 rounds, especially on the John side. Like, you need a John's finish probably to be optimal. Plus 225 inside the distance isn't bad. And 15%. I'm picking Johns to win. Good fight, though. Rigatoni likes violence in that one. Gibson to break him. What's going on, man? Hope you're doing well. We'll keep it rolling. Plenty of fights still left to talk about. Actually, let me refresh weigh-ins. When I looked before, everyone made weights thus far that walked. Yeah, everyone's made weight thus far, and only Shabazian and Dobson are still the walk is how I'm seeing it. So, yep, Paul, looks like we should have all 13 fights, which is big. Next fight, oh, baby, this one's going to be fun. My favorite on the night, probably not a hot take, though, the most likely to finish, Ricardo Ramos, Julian Arosa, 8,900 is Ramos, 7,300 is Arosa, minus 215 for this fight to finish. We have Ramos plus 120 inside the distance. Arosa plus 225. All right, man. Is Arosa going to get cold cocked, go to sleep, or is he actually not going to go to sleep and then win this fight as a dog? Because this line's crazy. If you tell me he doesn't get knocked out, I like Ramos. I like this fight in general. Most of my lineups will have one of this fight. I'm not making any rules on the card. But, man, like the pace in this fight, how Arosa fights, the volume, and just his chin being that bad. Ramos, I think, can mix in some takedowns. Juicy J gets back up. Like, high pace, scrambles, fun fights. Can Arosa stand 15 minutes, though? That's the real question I got for you.
Yeah, I would like to know that as well. But definitely one of the top 2 fights on the card, in my opinion. Because of the pace Arosa sets, like all of his fights are high scoring. When Arosa wins, he averages 104.5 points. And that's live for every one of his fights. He could win this fight by any method. I would say that Ramos has more power. Ramos may be the better overall grappler, but Ramos got submitted by a striker in his last fight. And
crazy.
And Arosa is 12-0 to the submission. So a grappling match would be fun. I'm not really sure who would win that. But I do feel like Ramos is more likely to land takedowns in this one. And then the chin on Arosa. I mean, this guy's been knocked out 8 times. That's a lot. So, I mean, I just don't trust it.
That is a lot.
In his last 2 fights, I mean, the guys that knocked him out aren't really knockout punchers. Like, they're not power strikers, and they still knock this guy out. So, the same kind of goes for Ramos. He's not a power striker, but he throws some awkward stuff. Maybe he could land a spinning elbow or something like that. One spinning elbow probably puts Arosa to sleep for a while. So I'm going to take Ramos to win by knockout. The worry would be that Ramos wins a decision, though, and doesn't mix in more than like 2 or 3 takedowns in this fight. At 8,900, I don't know that he makes the optimal in that win. But on the Arosa side, any win from Arosa is probably going to be on the optimal lineup. So I want leverage on both sides of this fight. Ideally, if I was just making one lineup on the whole card, though, I'd go with Ramos.
You remember that Danny Chavez spinning back elbow knockout of Ramos?
Yeah.
You went back and watched it? Dude, that was right in front of me. That was Austin, Texas. That was literally directly. Oh, my gosh. Chavez was out for minutes. It was one of the scariest knockouts. Just right on the oh my, he likes his spinning elbow techniques. If he hits Arosa with one of those puppies, yeah, Arosa's going to be out for probably more than a couple minutes, unfortunately. You're right. This is the hardest card I played. It's a good hard because you know you can make a lot of very good lineups and still not be holding hands with a million people. The worst lineups are like 10 fight cards. It looks really easy, but if you win, you're going to be chopping a million ways. It's a great card that way where chops shouldn't be much. But yeah, I mean, trying to get 6 winners, trying to get the optimal scores, like that part is really, really hard on this card. So yeah, it's definitely tough. I know Sheets put in our Discord yesterday, and I asked him a follow-up question. Like, he doesn't think anyone's going to hit the optimal in the flagship. I asked him what odds are there because I think he's right. More likely than not, no one's going to have the true optimal. But I wonder what odds. And if anyone in here has a good guess to set that out, I'm very curious to hear that. Do you have any thoughts on that, Big Marley?
Yeah, that's tough. I don't really know how to handicap that, but I would say
I got like 35%. Someone's going to get a 65 now, but I'm spitballing off the brain. No analytics behind that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I would take the over 35% of someone hitting the nuts. I don't know. It's tough though. Enough. I mean, it depends on how much how the salary's left on the table.
That's what I mean. It's so viable that a 3K winner could be, and like,
and most people are too scared to do that. Usually, including myself, I almost never leave 3K. Like 1,500 is a sweet spot, I would say, for me when I set like my minimum on the solver is usually like 1,500 on the table. This week, I might be okay with like 3K or something like that. I might not even set it, to be honest, and just let it roll. But yeah, I've also been, I don't know what I'm going to do on this card. I've been thinking maybe I'll do between 30 and 150 lineups. I have no idea.
I don't know
maybe
either.
I'll settle in the middle, but I've been working on like 75 builds and it's just not getting there for me. So I think I'm going to have to bump it up, see what 150 looks like. I'll be doing that after the show, but you guys can hit me up in Discord with any questions on my overall lineups tomorrow on fight day. Yeah, just overall, this is going to be one of the best fights to target. I want this in, I would say, at least 3/4 of my total lineups.
I like it. I love it. Yeah, talked a little broad slate. I don't even know. We'll see how much time I have tomorrow. Very busy day ahead. I'll be playing some lineups for sure. Do I have 150? We'll see. The $3 150 max still up there. Always a good contest. Next fight on the card. Still plenty left to talk about. One of the best fights to target on the card to a very interesting fight. I have interest on one side, not really the other side. Trey Ogden, Kurt Hollabaugh, Ogden minus 145, Hollabaugh plus 125. This fight's plus 105 to finish. The dog and Hollabaugh is more likely to finish at plus 200 inside the distance compared to Ogden at plus 350. And yeah, I mean, I'm on the Kurt side to win this fight. I'm on the Kurt side, more importantly, to play in DFS because he actually does something. Trey Ogden is notorious for not doing shit. Now he wins. I mean, he got robbed. All right, let's say that. He beat Nicholas Mata up, pillar to post from the beginning to the end. The ref absolutely screwed him. He was a dog in that one that I had decent amount of exposure to. That was a very tilting. I think I had a solid lineup with him in that, but that's for another day. But minus 145 for Ogden, like, he needs to get takedowns and control time to be optimal. How much control time? How much is he going to be safe on top against Hollabaugh? He's a good grappler for sure. Is Ogden? All of his wins, submission. All of his finish wins have come by submission. 11 of the 16. He has no knockout wins. But man, Kirk can grapple. 10 of his 20 wins by sub, 7 by KO. Tricky black belt. Just submitted Austin Hubbard to get the other contract. His second UFC stint. Give me the guy that's more dangerous that'll walk forward. I think he's the better striker. I think he throws more volume. He just has more pass at 7,700. 8,500, he's going to be low owned as Trey Ogden, but he just doesn't have the upside. I don't think so. Yeah, right now I have him as has him as underweight because I think he's going to be low owned. Can you just talk me into a fade though? Should I add one of these Parkin Usmans and just fade him completely?
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to fade Ogden. He's coming off his career best performance. Had he got a finish, he would have scored like 95 plus points or something. Yeah, 99.
I think so.
I mean, that's solid. I'm taking 99, but that's against a guy who doesn't know how to grapple. Kurt Hollabaugh knows how to grapple. And then in his win before that, 65 points. Let's somehow give him the win after that. He would have scored 47 points. Like, yeah, he just doesn't do enough. I think Hollabaw's the more active striker. Hollabaugh definitely has more punching power. And I think Hollabaw's the better wrestler of the two also. They're both solid grapplers, but Ogden has been submitted 3 times already. So I favor Hollabaugh on this one. The only thing I don't like about him is his age. He's like 37, 38 years old now. He's getting up there. But Ogden's like 35, 36 years old too. He's getting up there as well. So it's not that much of a benefit for the Ogden side. I think he's riding high right now off of his last performance based on these odds. And I just think it's recency bias. Give me the underdog. I'll be overweight to Hollabaugh, and I'm going to fade Ogden. If Ogden wins, I don't think he's scoring 10x.
Yeah, I think I'm still going to keep it because I like the 2 fight fades I have. And then, like, Ogden, why I think Ogden's fine in this is he's going to be low owned, and this fight could take place on the mat like 10 to 15 minutes or 11 to 15 minutes. Both guys, black belts, both guys comfortable on the mat. Like, you could get some reversals, top control, like just some random points on the mat that add up. So I'll keep him in there for that and just say maybe he is. Hollabaugh is fine off of his back, and Ogden just stays safe, lands some strikes. I don't know. I mean, he's going to be low owned. I'm trying to talk myself into something. I don't like Usman Parkin, and I don't like Win Erens. I'm going to keep Ogden underweight now. But in general, if you want a 5th fade, it would definitely be Trey Ogden as my 5th fade on the card. But yeah, we're both on Kurt's side, DFS as a pick, etc. Love to see that. Let's get going. Next fight on the card. This one should be pretty fun. Fernando Padilla, Luis Pajejo, -170 Padilla, +145 is Pajejo, -180 for this fight to finish. Padilla +130 inside the distance. Pajejo +250. I'll throw it to you right away. This is one of the most likely fights to finish on the card. I'll throw it to you because you mentioned, without saying the name, Fernando Padilla a couple fights ago when you're talking Juicy J, right? When you're talking about Juicy J getting knocked out by someone without that much pop. I think you were talking about Fernando Padilla. Yeah, take this fight away. I'm expecting a fun fight.
Yeah, I mean, Padilla's got a lot of finishes. Like, he's got a lot of knockouts, but I just don't think he's a power puncher. He's more of a guy who's going to jab you up, tap you up until you can't take it anymore type of thing. Where on the other side, Pajuelo is a guy who's trying to take your head off. Every single time he's throwing a punch, he's trying to hurt you. And he's pretty aggressive with it as well. I also think he has much worse striking defense. He also doesn't eat shots well. He covers up and goes against the cage, which I'm never a big fan of. I think Padilla can get off with the striking there. So I just think we're going to need a finish from either one of these guys to have 100-point potential. Padilla's our more likely wrestler, and our better grappler of the two, but I don't really see him going for any takedown attempts here. So I think he's probably going to win a striking match. And if it's a decision, I don't think he's going to score over 10x. If he can put up volume and then get a TKO, then we're talking. Then we have 100+ point upside. And I do want some Padilla exposure for that reason. And then on the other end, Pajuelo is going to be aggressive. He's going to be throwing heavy. He's going to be throwing a lot. So I think if he is able to win, even a decision, he probably is flirting with 10x. But he has knockout upside where he could score 100 points that way. I don't know what to do with this fight. This is one where I'm just going to let the solver do its thing. I'll put projections in. And I think I said in the fight rankings, I'd be fine with anywhere from 20 to 40%, maybe even 15 to 45% Padilla. Like, I'm fine with any of that. Whereas Pajuelo, I like him. I want some exposure, but I like other dogs more. So I probably just end up around field weight, make sure I don't get burned, but I don't want too much leverage there. I want other spots to be my leverage spots. So give me Padilla to win a unanimous decision, probably score 80 points, something like that.
Yeah, I don't have too much more to add. It's not a fight that I'm like, I like the Ramos Arosa fight way, way more. I'm not making any rules on this card, but it is one of the most likely fights to finish. Pajejo's style looks to just be plodding forward. He'll throw a lot of volume. He'll make it a fun fight. We do have the smaller octagon at the apex. Like, I think Padilla's a more skilled fighter. I prefer Padilla, even with him being more expensive. I don't expect really takedowns. But, man, I think he can counterpunch and catch Pajejo at some point with some shot. I agree. If it goes to decision, I don't think you want it. Both guys are going to get some ownership in it. Yeah, maybe it is just more of a around the field, slightly overweight to Padilla. at the end of the day, if I love my script, like I like how everything else is, and I had 40% Padilla or I had 20% Padilla, I think I'd be fine with it and just go from there, kind of what you're saying. It's not a fight that I want to make or break my nights because, yeah, I think it'll be if it finishes, I think someone's going to be on the optimal. I guess that's not really a hot take when I say it out loud. Sounds pretty dumb. If it finishes, it'll be optimal. But Payo style, like I think Padilla can get off on him and then maybe mix in takedowns if he is getting over aggressive, something like that. So, yeah, give me the Padilla side. Definitely will be playing some Payo as a dog, though. 5 fights left on this card. Again, appreciate everyone hanging out. Like button if you haven't already. Helps us out a ton. Watching live, watching on playback. Hope you all doing well. Huge weekend. MMA, March Madness, NHL, MLB will be next weekend. NBA, NASCAR. Come on, man. PGA Showdown. Plenty of money to be made there. Head over to shippingnation.com. Get in the Discord. Make sure you use that promo code HOOP15. Gets you 15% off. 5 fights left. 5 pretty solid fights. For a fight night card, I say these are pretty solid fights. This one for sure right here. Billy Quarantilla, Yusuf Zalal, minus. All right. Seen a lot of line movement in this one, depending on the book. I always go from bet online on fightodds.io. Yusuf Zalal is now the small favorite at minus 115. Billy Q minus 105. You go and look at some other books like FanDuel, minus 122 Billy Q, or plus 100 Zalal. Always make sure to line chop for sure. Moral of the story is Billy Q opened minus 300. Even earlier this week, a couple days ago, minus 160. A lot of money coming in on the Zalal side. Plus 185 to finish. Billy Q plus 325. Zalal plus 400. All right, Big Marley, I need you to help me. Because I had Billy Q overweight, Zalal underweight. I still want to keep it like that because Zalal's going to be one of the most popular underdogs on the slate now, I think. Like, he's a favorite at 7,600. If the line even goes wider, people will always go there. He's a great real-life fighter, but he hasn't scored great in DFS. He can be low volume. I do think he has takedown upside in this fight against Billy Q, though. And Billy Q, I don't think is just going to stay on his back all around. So Zalal can chain takedowns. There's upside there. I mean, Billy Q, I don't really need to say anything. Like, all Billy Q fights are fun. The dude throws a ton of volume. He's in your face. He wants to break you. If he wins, he has big upside in decision and a finish, whatever it may be. So I'll always play some Billy Q. He's going to be lower owned than he usually is. And now we get some leverage off of Zalal, who will be popular. I'm on the Billy Q side in DFS, more so just game theory, how he scores. Can totally make cases for Zalal, but I think I still want to be underweight as him as one of the most popular dogs. We have 30% as the second highest owned dog behind Hebas. And I wouldn't even be surprised if he was the highest owned dog, especially if the line movement keeps going his way. So, yeah, I'd just rather take some shots, I guess, on these other dogs. 13 fights, plenty of them are live. That's how I see it right now. But, yeah, if you told me Zalal was 20%, maybe it's a little different question. I'll throw it to you on this one, though. Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, this actually, DraftKings wise, this reminds me of 2 fights last weekend. The Amarim, whatever her name is, over McKenna, where McKenna's line shot up from like Pick'em to minus 175. And I was like, well, let me just take the other side. I like Amarim a lot more now. The other one was Fieldho versus Osborne. Fieldho was the one that was needed again. And this, I feel like Quarantilla should be the favorite here. And he's also a great DraftKings scorer. He averages 113 points in his wins. And he can set a pace for a full 3 rounds. He's a slow starter. So I think that could be a worry here. But we're in the small cage. I think either of these guys could mix in takedowns. But I just think that Quarantilla does a lot more with his takedowns. He'll threaten for more submissions. I think he'll land a lot more strikes on the ground. And Zalal has this lateral movement that's really tricky to get a hold of. And you can't really land volume against Zalal on the feet like we would want Quarantilla to do. So I don't think a striking match would be what we want here. But if he can, limit the lateral movement by taking him down, I think that Quarantilla could win all 3 rounds in the wrestling department here. But it's just the pace from him that I love. He'll pick it up as the fight moves along. And he has 130-point potential. I don't think that this is the fight to get that, but I do think he has one of the higher ceilings on the card still. And then Zalal, I do think he's a live underdog. It's a really close fight here. He could win all 3 rounds. He could mix in takedowns too, but I don't see him having a ton of volume. And I think he's more likely to score, around 10x if he does get a win here. Maybe the pressure from Quarantillo makes him pick it up a little bit more, and we have possible like 85, 90 point upside from Zalal. But the new ownership takes me off of him. I'm going to be probably half the field, maybe even less on the Zalal side. And now I might even double up the field on the Quarantillo side. So I love the line movement. I think it's brought some value on the betting side as well. So yeah, all on the Quarantillo one for me.
I like it. I like hearing that for sure, because mine went to the game theory DFS side. You just said it at the end. I was already on the Billy Q side just because in DFS, just because how he fights. The Zalal side, it makes sense. Like Billy Q, high pace. Zalal will have to do more than he usually does in other fights to get it. But as a second most popular dog, like that's not a hot take by any means. I think his ownership will be a lot of it because of the money line movement. And at the end of the day, there's 13 fights and plus 180 is the biggest dog. Like any of these dogs can win. You need a big boy score. So all wins and get you 75 and 30%. You want none, like absolutely zero of it. So yeah, I'm going to be underweight as game theory for sure. A popular dog because the line movement still a pick 'em. Yeah, I mean, it feels pretty obvious to me. Billy Q side, prefer him in DFS. I'll be underweight Zalal. But again, I'm not Xing him out. Like still a very good fighter. Billy Q will push the pace. There is outs that he's on the optimal, but he's 30%. That's also why. 4 fights left. Very curious to hear this one. Peyton Talbot, Cameron Simon, minus 140. Talbot, plus 120 is Cameron Simon. Fight to finish, plus 135. Talbot, plus 215 inside the distance. Cameron Simon, plus 450. So I put one of my bigger bets I've made on Talbot Saturday night, a little drunk at the casino at the blackjack table. I open up Twitter. Shout out Clint, diehard MMA. 5-unit, big bet, Talbot, whatever it may be, minus 110. So I look at the odds. I'm like, wow, this does feel a little light against Cameron Simon. Like, is he going to wrestle for 15? He's a solid fighter, but like on the feet, I just feel like the volume, the jab, I think Talbot could take over as the fight goes. Simon has good cardio too, but I just think the volume is going to be on Talbot. I don't see Simon wrestling for 15. So long story short, yeah, I put some cheese on. I got minus 115 in Caesars and FanDuel softies limits too small. So I had to get minus 120 on DraftKings. They gave me what I wanted. Got the line movement, but it came back a little bit. It was up to minus 160. Now it came back to minus 140 some spots. Uh-oh. Got Talbot side. I see Shark on Talbot. You're scaring me, Shark. Talk to me. Talk to me, Big Marley.
I'm going to be on the other side.
Oh, do I take my CLV and take my couple dollars and cash out?
I don't know. I don't have a strong take on it. It's more that I got to this fight after the move. So Simon was like plus 130 or something when I started doing this fight. And I thought it's just a little bit closer to pick him, in my opinion. Yeah. So the plus is what sold me. But had it moved the other way and Talbot had the plus next to his name, I would have been picking him here.
All right.
So my thing is I favor Cameron Simon in the first round. I think he's the more dangerous striker in the first round. I think it's going to be a high-paced fight on both sides. I think it's the highest-paced fight on the whole card. But I also give Simon the wrestling and grappling edge in the first round. The second round is where it gets interesting because I think Simon starts to slow down. Talbot starts to pick it up. Maybe Simon wins the first half. Talbot wins the second half. And then the third round, I like Talbot to win in the third. And Talbot can put up, even if he takes the first round off, he can put up enough volume to still score close to 100 points probably in the second and third, especially if Simon starts to slow down. Maybe Talbot could try and land a couple takedowns of his own if he wants to. So I just like both sides because it's right there in the mid-range. Both of them have 100-point potential, and I expect, around 10x or more if either of them win a decision. And I would say the main worry is that it is so close that nobody knows who wins after the fight. It's going to be a split decision either way, and the winner, no matter who it is going to score between 75 and 85 points. That's the main worry. But still, even 75 to 85 points, you're not dead. So I'm just going to load up on this fight. Not going to load up. It's my at best, it's my third favorite fight on the card, but probably my fourth favorite fight, I'm thinking. But I just like both sides. I will just take the discount I will go overweight to Saman, and I'll go underweight to Talbot, which I have the field as the opposite. I have Talbot as the higher owned guy of the two.
I definitely expect Talbot to be the higher owned. And like, I don't even love it in DFS I don't love this fight as much as you in DFS because I don't think Simon's finishing Talbot. I think you want multiple takedowns, control time for Simon to get optimal. Do you think he wrestles?
No, I mean, maybe Saman. Saman does not have good takedown defense, but every time he gets taken down, he's like not in his last fight, but every time he was taken down before his last fight, he's getting a reversal and then dominating on the ground himself. So I think Talbot is going to think his edge is on the feet here. So why go for takedowns?
No, you think Same? I think Same is more likely to get takedowns.
Saman goes for takedowns. Yes.
I think you do think so?
Yeah, same.
I think he's more likely. Yeah. I mean, I bet Talbot. I think he has the advantage on the feet. I think the volume will be there. So I think Saman might try and mix in, which he can. I mean, but I don't know how good Cortez is on Contender Series. Like, he is a primary wrestler. He ain't a great one. But, man, Talbot stuffs all those takedowns. Like, Cortez got in deep on a lot of those shots, too, which I feel like, now that I'm saying it out loud, majority of people probably would have finished some of those takedowns where Talbot was able to stay on his feet. He is long for the division. He's tall. But I'm still not sold on the takedown defense. He was taken down twice in the first round last fight. I'm on Talbot, young kid, a lot of volume.
He's taken down a lot in the regional scene, too. Like, he doesn't have great takedown defense either. Yeah. So I do think it would be smart of Saman to look for takedowns, especially in the first round. But my worry is that tires him out quicker if he's not able to get a finish. And then that is what's going to help out Talbot by coming back, winning the second and third maybe. So at this point, I mean, I feel like you definitely got a good line. But at this point, I would rather just wait after the first round, try and get a better line on Talbot, maybe live or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I beat line movement. We'll see what I do. But yeah, shout out you, Clint, unless we lose next week, and then I'll have to take that shout out away. Just kidding. Yeah, I mean, Steven Kozlow was taking dude down. He took down Terrence Mitchell's cheeks. Yeah, that'll be a good fight. It'll be a good fight for sure. I'll be on the Talbot side. I'll probably let it ride. Shark. 3 fights left. Edmund Shabazian, AJ Dobson. Minus 205 is Shabazian. Plus 175 is Dobson. Minus 165 for this fight to finish. Shabazian plus 105 inside the distance. Dobson plus 375. I like this fight. I think Edmund gets him at some point. I got Edmund by knockout. Dude's still only 26 years old. Like, came into the UFC with all the hype in the world. Has fought very good competition, kind of got exposed in his defensive wrestling, which is the reason he's lost a decent bit of fights. Also hasn't really paced himself. Fast finish or fast starter, slows down as the fight goes. I mean, man, I just think at distance, I think it's Edmund all day. Dobson, I don't think is bad by any means. He's durable. He's strong. But I just think Edmund's the way more technical fighter. He has more power. I think he knocks out Dobson first or second round. But if Dobson wins, I mean, man, Edmund can slow down. I think takedowns Dobson would more than likely need because I do feel confident in Edmund winning the striking exchanges. But if Dobson wins, I'm expecting takedowns, control time, maybe even a late finish if Edmund gasses or something. So I'll be playing him at 7,100. He'll be relatively low owned on this card too. But yeah, I like Edmund. And again, his ownership has to be capped to an extent with Carl Williams and Rose right above him, who are going to get more ownership. So, yeah, I like this fight. Edmund side for me. Big Marley, yep, you're good. You're good. Fixing his mic. Take your time. Take your time. Let me. All right.
I'm back. Yeah, I can't touch this thing or else it just goes out on me.
You're good.
Yeah, I like this fight, but more so on the underdog for me.
One of us are winning the money. One of us losing it. One of us winning it this weekend. Hey, that's fine.
It's just another one where I think it's closer to a pick 'em fight. Both guys, solid strikers, but Shabazian does slow down as the fight moves along, as you mentioned. And I think that Dobson could pick it up as the fight moves along. But at the same time, Dobson is so freaking dangerous early in fights too when he wants to be. And I think if these guys are fighting in a phone booth, I actually favor Dobson in that matchup, even in the first round. I do think that Shabazian's the better at range striker though. I think he's probably our minute winner in the first round. Either of them could land takedowns. They're not necessarily wrestlers, but they could just kind of exploit the other one's weakness by not having a bottom game on the ground. So I think both sides have a path to a high score with the knockout and mixing in some wrestling. But with Shabazian, I think he has to get a knockout to pay off a $9,100 price tag. I mean, maybe on this card, you don't even need like 100 points from him. But I just like other favorites more. So I'll be underweight on Shabazian. And then on Dobson's side, if he wins a decision, maybe we're flirting with 10x. But he has knockout power in any round. So I think he has 100-point potential, won't get too much ownership. So I'm going to be on the Dobson side. And you mentioned it before, man, I don't hate building a Shabazian lineup and then just taking him out, putting Dobson in. $2,000 on the table. Nobody else is going to have that lineup.
Yeah, no, it's so you can do that in pretty much any of these fights. Like, it is so viable. If Dobson wins, I mean, his upside is just as much pretty much as Edmund's. Like, you think you get a first round knockout, we think Edmund can get a first round knockout. You're giving up win equity, but you're also giving up, if the Edmund lineup left $0, you win and you get split with 50 people, let's just say, for $13K, or you take it out and then you go Dobson. Instead of $13K, if Dobson gets it outscores, that's optimal. You can win $100K solo, $13K, $100K, even at those money line odds. Like, you'll take that chance any day of the week. So I definitely do like that. Please, do you think AJ Dobson will have a wrestle heavy coach? Shabazian, yeah, I do think so. I think so because I think Shabazian's going to piece him up at distance and maybe not and knock him out. So I think Dobson eventually is going to want to panic wrestle or just wrestle from the start. Personally.
Yeah, I think he could. Man, I would prefer you just go out there and try and take off Shabazian's head in the first round. Like some of Dobson's regional scene fights, like these people were scared to be in front of this guy. Just knocking him out quick. So I would like to bring that back out. Just get super aggressive and try and kill this guy, and I think he could do it. But, yeah, at the same time, I mean, I don't know how much you want to really bring in Mark Coleman aspect of it, but you could look at that both ways. Maybe I want to wrestle for my wrestling coach, or maybe I want to freaking just knock this guy out, and I don't get paid by the hour, so let me get out quick. So I don't know. I don't really look at that too much different, but maybe just win-wise, you want to give Dobson more equity because he has more to fight for or whatever. I would say go ahead, but I already like him enough.
Yeah, fair enough. 2 fights left on the card. Big boys, the second of 2 big boy fights. Carl Williams, Justin Tafa. -182 is Carl Williams. +157 is Justin Tafa. So it's -180 to finish. Carl Williams +155 inside the distance. Justin Tafa +200. We have, I'll say our ownership out loud in this one. Carl Williams, we have the highest owned fighter on the card at 51%. Justin Tafa at 16%. Why Carl Williams we have as the highest owned? He's a DFS monster. When he wins, I mean, he's a wrestler. Averages over 4 takedowns per 15. And he's going against someone. Primary striker, has not fought wrestlers. Just saw his brother, nothing off his back. Literally nothing off his back against Lima. Also no answer to any leg kicks. Justin Tafa, Williams. Williams wants it on the mat. Tafa wants it on the feet. Pretty much that simple. I mentioned it earlier. That's why I think you can go 9,300. Take out Williams, 6,900 Tafa. It feels really gross. But again, +157, +200 inside the distance, the power advantage, the advantage on the feet. Like, it's not crazy by any means. What's Justin Tafa in round 1? +275. Carl Williams in round 1, +425. I mean, I'll throw it to you on that note. I'm picking Justin Tafa. He's my pick. Hot take, contrarian. However, in DFS, I mean, I'm still like Tafa, so I still should get more of him. But, man, if Carl Williams wins this fight, it's almost like a lock to be 100+. Whereas you can't really say that about anybody else on this card. So if he wins, -182, maybe I should just get, like, his win equity. -180 and get something like that. Because I think his win equity is pretty much his optimal equity. But, man, there's plenty of paths where he doesn't get this fight on the mat and Tafa knocks him out or something like that. So, yeah, I'm on Tafa.
I'm
Williams, I already know.
So what?
I say you're on Williams already. We've been different every fight. You got to be on Williams.
Definitely on Williams here.
Yeah.
Williams, my favorite play on the whole card. I didn't even know how I was going to look at the rest of this card, but I put Williams on my core plays on like Monday.
I saw that. I almost deleted it, and I was like, he obviously meant to do that. So, all right.
But yeah, I just think that the line's not wide enough on this one, to be honest with you. Like, if we're turning knockouts off, I'm not sure Tafa beats this guy in a striking match.
Well, you can't turn knockouts off.
I know. Well, I mean, you can, because freaking Tafa went 3 rounds with Jared Vandera, lost.
Fair enough.
Went 3 rounds with Carlos Felipe, lost. And all these wins that he got, they're all first-round knockouts. He's landed a total of 34 strikes in these wins. That's just not a guy that I like to bank on. He's a first-round knockout or bust type of fighter, in my opinion. Maybe he's so cheap that the ownership like isn't high enough, probably, because if he wins by first-round knockout, he's on the optimal lineup. But I just love fading those types of fighters, and I think Williams could beat this guy on the feet. But you get one takedown on this guy, Tafa's going to have absolutely nothing to offer. So Williams is going to spend the rest of the time either getting these little pillow strikes that count now, or he's going to finish this guy on the mat. He's going to have absolutely nothing to offer, just like his brother, just like Tuivasa, just like Tyson Pedro, all his boys who just got dominated on the ground recently. He's going to be the same thing. So give me Williams. I'm going to be close to all in on this fight because of the Williams side. I want him in damn near every lineup I create, but I'll probably just throw in Tafa for the others. But I would say, like, on your side, maybe don't match his win odds. Minus 180, we're looking at like 65%. I definitely like 65%, but yeah. I don't think any win from Williams gets there, because I think he could outstrike this guy, just like he did Chase Sherman and win, with 72 points, something like that. But yeah, I think Williams is better everywhere except for power, and Tafa's the perfect guy that I like to fade. So give me the knockout to not come and Williams to dominate this guy on the ground.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, I think it was mainly the Bresky fight. I was like, dude, Carl Williams looks awful. Like, Bresky somehow looked worse. Like, both of them had 0 gas tank left in them. Like, he was dragging him to the mat. He somehow gets up. They needed like a 4-minute oxygen break halfway through the second. Like, when I saw that Carl Williams fight, I was like, all right. Then Chase Sherman he got him out once, but he couldn't even get him down. I was like, all right, Tafa, give him an uppercut, give him something right in the middle. But to be honest, Sherman's more mobile than Tafa. And at least when Sherman is on his back, like, you feel a little, like, if Tafa gets stuck on his back in the middle of the octagon, I don't see him getting up. Like, I really don't see him getting up. So I get all the Williams stuff. He's the highest owned fighter on the card for a reason. It's him or Rose, and they're in a tier of their own, is how I see it. So yeah. I just want to.
I feel like I'm probably real high on that Williams ownership too, with his line kind of shrinking this week. But it's like my own personal love for him this week. I was like, I got to put him up there high.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 47 with Rose and Tafa or something or Rose and Williams, excuse me, or something like that. But I mean, I assume a lot of people that listen to a lot of shows, or they just will look that he can take that people down. He has upside, look at a game log. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe a little hot on his ownership, but he's going to be, him and Rose are the highest owned fighters on the card. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. Last fight on the card. Let's get right into it. Rose Namajunas, Amanda Ribas, minus 200 is Rose, plus 170 is Ribas. Fights minus 175 to finish. Rose plus 115 inside the distance. Ribas plus 300. I mean, I'll say it, I guess, right away. I'm going to be underweight on Rose. I'm going to be overweight on Ribas. I think the line's fair, I guess. I don't know. I still think it's even a little wide. You don't know what Rose is going to show up. More importantly, though, for DFS, Rose can win this fight in multiple ways and still not be optimal. A 3rd-round knockout. 2nd-round knockout's not even guaranteed. If it gets past the 3rd round, I mean, we've seen her in plenty of very boring fights. Ribas is more active, like, will push a higher pace than Esparza fight, etc., than the Furo fight, I think. She does have durability concerns, so Rose can definitely catch her. But Rose isn't really high volume. I don't think she's going to be landing takedowns and a bunch of control time. 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round knockout, sure. But I think the volume's already going to be low enough where she won't be optimal. At the end of the day, at 9,200, she's going to be over 40% owned as one of the highest fighters on the slate. I get it. It's because it's 25 minutes. It's 5 rounds, etc. Give me these. Let me see who else is all in the 9K. Give me Andre Lima over him. Give me Ricardo Ramos over him. Give me Padilla over him. I keep saying him. Her. Give me Fernando Padilla over her. Give me Edmond over her. Give me Carl Williams over her. At the end of the day, at this ownership, I'm going to be underweight. I'll be playing Ribas. as leverage off of Rose, but she's also going to be popular too. So at the end of the day, I'll just probably be underweight on this fight. What are your favorite underdogs? I will say you can rewind the show. We talked about a lot of them. Otherwise, the tier rankings at shippingnation.com breaks down every upper tier, mid tier, lower tier. You can find that very easy. And then Slate plan, fight rankings, etc. I'll be underweight on this fight, though. More interest on the Hebas side. What about you?
Yeah, I think that all makes sense. Usually I have main events or really just 5-round fights as 5 stars over at shippingnation.com. But this one I went 4-star because of the Rose side. Just $9,200 is a lot to pay. And she's the type of fighter who's going to just dance around in the octagon. She can avoid a lot of strikes and then throw hers when she wants to, but she's not a really high volume striker. And then she also doesn't mix in her wrestling a lot. I do give her the ultimate edge everywhere. I think she's a slightly better striker, maybe a more dangerous grappler. Wrestling's probably close, but I just give the slight edge to Rose. And then the main thing is just that Rebus has no chin, man. She's the female Arosa, and I just don't trust her chin at all, especially against someone like Rose, who's a sniper and can knock her out with a punch or a kick. So ultimately, I'm taking Rose to get a knockout. That's why I do like her, but I probably am not going to get any real leverage to her ownership. She's high enough already. So I think that the best move is to, I don't know about the best move, but the move that I've been thinking about is just to try and fade this fight in as many lineups as I can and get different from the field that way, especially the ones where I'm not leaving a lot of salary on the table. But on the other side, Rebus, I mean, if you go and look at the stats on this fight, every single stat from reach down favors Rebus. Striking pace, striking accuracy, striking defense, takedown accuracy, takedown defense, every single thing favors Rebus. And if this is a 5-round fight, it's really a coin flip, in my opinion. So I would rather, if we knew that was the case, there's no finish in this fight, fade Rose, easy, and then you load up on Rebus. She might not win it, but it's 50-50. So I still think she's going to score well over 10x, and she's probably going to score closer to 100 points and break the slate. So I'm really fine doing anything with this fight, but I prefer the Rose side just because I'm picking her to get a knockout.
What if I
could be the way to go.
What if I told you Rose gets a knockout in either 3, 4, or 5? What odds do you think she has a chance at optimal?
Yeah, I would say not great odds, like 20, less than 20%. And it would really come down to how many takedowns she mixed in before that.
How many do you think? Do you think she makes it a good bit?
Man, if I was her coach, I would want her to. I would want her to get a takedown early so that Rebus is guessing what's coming next. And then that way, I think Rose can really style on the feet. But I don't know. It could be none. Could be 0. It could also be a freaking 70 strikes in 5 rounds.
Or it could be a head kick in 35 seconds.
Could knock her out in the first minute. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just a tough one. People will DM me in Discord, but hey, what do you think of my lineup? You could put either side of this fight in there. You could fade it, and I'm probably going to say I like it. Just don't stack it.
Yeah, 100% don't stack. Oh, here we go. Somehow that's going to be on the winner. Yeah, don't stack it for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying underweight because I think it's pretty much 10 minutes Rose has. The first 2 rounds to get a finish, more than likely to be on the optimal. Over 4.5 rounds, plus 115, over 3.5 favored, 40+% owned for Rose. I'm going to take other shots, more so in the upper tier. Not that I'm completely fading, but I will be underweight. Similar like I did with Sean O'Malley. And I was definitely wrong on Sean O'Malley. You needed him to win. I had him in my pool. I had a couple of really good teams with him. That's why I won't fully cross off some chalk 5-round fighter. But I do know I want to be underweight. I'll just be underweight to this whole fight with more fades than the public.
Yeah, and so I say I want to go underweight or I can fade this fight, but then when I start building lineups, I like Rose more than Shabazian. I'm picking Shabazian to lose. I'm picking Lima to lose. I like Rose more than in win. I like Rose more than Zelaznikova. I like Rose more than Padilla. So I feel like I'm gonna end up with more Rose than I want to. But if I hand build any lineups for the big $15 contest, I'm going to try and fade Rose in that. And then for the mini max, if I do 150, maybe I'll go underweight to the whole fight in those.
Yeah, no.
I have no freaking idea what's gonna happen. To be
For
honest.
you, it's tough because I like Zelaznikova, I like Lima, I like Padilla, I like all the admin. Like and talking ownership relative to Roses, like I'm gonna be taking all of them half the ownership or a quarter, whatever it is. I'll be taking the ownership discount more times than not. Awesome breakdown as always. 13 fights, very, very tough DFS card, no doubt about that. Did our best to try and help you out again. Everyone made weight too. Every single fighter. So we don't have to worry about any fights. Hopefully being off. Please no fights. No one pulling out after lock. 13 fights, 8 packs, 7 p.m. Eastern. Big boy prize pools. Very fun, very hard, very interesting DFS card. Again, we got you covered at chippingnation.com. Projections, ownership up. Marley's fight rankings up. All my stuff will be up shortly after the show. NBA today. NHL going on. NASCAR this weekend, PGA this weekend, MLB starting next week. Great time to be a sports fan. College basketball on right now. Enjoy some sports. Let's try and make some money. Use that code HOOP15 if you want to head to shippingnation.com. Gets you 15% off. Your packages, final words to the people, Big Marley.
Yeah, final words. Last week we had Rio Hebrew Cheetah take down the main I think he was in second place, but he won like 22 grand. Yeah. Then the next night he won his chance to the NBA Live final tomorrow. So good luck to Hebrew Cheetah. I hope you take that thing down. That'll be sick. But you cannot skip out on UFC because the last time he won big in the UFC, he took it down the next week as well. So you got to go back to back, Rio. I hope tomorrow is a life changer for you. Good luck to him. Good luck to you, Title. Good luck to everybody listening. Let's ship it.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Good luck to Rio indeed. And I will say, everyone out there, I haven't even told Big Marley yet. MMA show will be next Wednesday instead of Friday. I'll be out in Vegas for my bachelor party, enjoying the weekend. So we'll get out a little earlier for y'all. Wednesday, be on the lookout for that. Didn't even tell Big Marley. We'll find the time that works, though. Good luck, everybody. Hope you guys have a good weekend. For Big Marley, I'm Titletown. Be safe. Good luck.